Well, hello there, and welcome back. And this is actually going to be my last tutorial video, or let's play video, or whatever you want to call it. But I have basically served my purpose. It comes full circle to this video. And now, I'm just going to discuss with you what kind of things you're going to be expecting from playing Endgame Blue. Because now you've accomplished a level, you got your levels, probably have most of your spells, probably have a lot of the ones that I'm missing. But I'm going to talk to you about what you're going to do now. Because a lot of people find, once they reach the end, they get bored. You know, it's a common thing. I mean, get bored of any job. I guess you get bored of anything if there's not new content to do. Unless the patch that just came out, 6.5, extends the story a little bit. So, here's what we're going to talk about. I like playing blue. I don't like blue anything. Now you can go blue tank or blue healer or blue DPS, it's up to you. And you can add as much challenge as you want to it. You can play any way you want to. Now that you can't say about most jobs. If you want to go from tank to a healer, you would go from warrior to white mage, and it's like, well, you have to change jobs, and you have to maybe remember how you played, and maybe they play a little differently. But blue is a totally different story. Because of etheric mimicry, you can choose to be a tank, a healer, or a DPS. So at any time, you can choose what role you want to play. And maybe you want to be a tank this week. Maybe you want to be a healer this week. A healer or a tank can still throw out incredible DPS. They can still even moon flute. Do you know the challenge? Can you challenge yourself to moon flute while you're doing your tanking or your healing? If you're a solo healer, if you're the only healer, can you still allow yourself to moon flute? Can you do it with the proper, the proper healing at the end of the moon flute? Maybe you throw on a gobskin at the end of your moon flute to buy time to the next, for your 15 seconds of waning. Maybe you throw on a gobskin, cure everybody up with a white wind. Throw a gobskin on at the end of your moon flute. You can do that. As a tank, of course, you could throw out things like you're doing J-Kick and Sorpanaka and Night Bloom and Phantom Flurry, and you can do everything on any role that you want. So let's just say, I'm in Shadowbringers now. Of course, I'm missing spells. The spells I want to go after are, let's see what they are. The Grand Cosmos, I want to go after this one. This would be Mortal Flame. I want to go after, let's see. Which one is it? Mount Goog? No, it's not Mount Goog. There it is. Okay, so the Crown Immaculate. So I want to go after Winged Reprobation. I also want to go after Sea Shanti, which is right here. So there are your target spells for Shadowbringers. I already have Being Mortal. So I want Sea Shanti, Winged Reprobation, and what did I say was the other one? Sorry. Yeah, of course. Immortal Flame, right? So I want those three from Shadowbringers. Now you can also fill in your spellbook, work on your spellbook, work on your spells, anything you're missing. You can undersize whatever you want if it's low enough. You can undersize Unsync and Basic Instinct. Solo your primals, for instance. Maybe you're missing those. Maybe you're missing all your primals. I'm still missing Titan. I'm still missing Leviathan. So you can undersize those and Basic Instinct and solo them yourself. And you can Moon Flute and get it over with really fast. You can't, of course, you can't Final Sting it because you can't be dead when the spell drops. But you now have a lot more options. Besides that, I still like going as a full party, as a sync party, if I can. I avoid the extremes for the most part. But the sync party, I still do want to go for sync parties for a lot of things. That is because you get that 100% drop rate for spells. So you're working on all your spells, you're filling stuff in, working on things you're missing, and that's one option. Other option is your logbook. There's a lot to do here. You can see that I'm still missing something. I'm still missing one of my spells here, or one of my dungeon unlocks. I forget what that is. It's level 50. What is it? Let's see. Level 50. I have a list of dungeons that I want to do. That I have a list of dungeons on Discord that I can do. And I can't recall what that one is right now. But I still have to unlock it. You can see. So you get tombstone bonuses out of all of these. But not only that, you get allied seals bonuses. So for the first timers, you can see there on the right, the rewards. Of course, Gil, Poetics, allied seals. Now the only way you get those allied seals is doing a full Blue Mage party. That's how you do your first time bonuses with the logbook, you know. And a lot of people need their logbooks done. So there's logbook entries for every expansion. Up to Shadowbringers, up to what you can do. Then there's trials. Trials for each of the expansions, the main line. You can see someone's actually looking for the Howling Eye. I can see now that somebody's looking for the Howling Eye. I don't even have to go to the Party Finder to see somebody actually has one up. So I can go to, let's see. Search for parties recruited. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I'm not sure where they're recruiting from. It must be in private. So, let's see. Private, no. Huh. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but there's somebody recruiting for the Howling Eye. That's cool. Alright. But yeah, do your logbook, do your spells, work on your challenges. Also, there are weekly targets. Every week, there are instances that you can do that give extra bonus. In which case, I can actually just scroll over to the weekly targets list, which is the purple face that you see, and that lists the weekly targets. Now, of course, I'm missing almost all of them, so I need to unlock all of these. Oh, there's the World Eater Extreme. Oh, cool. So that's a weekly target. Nice. You know, there's a spell in there. So there's something for you. So I'd get 200 allied seals besides the 30 that I would get from the first time. I would get 200 for completing the weekly target. And I would get the spell. Because that is an unnecessary spell. But that's one option. That's another very cool thing you can do. Besides that, you can also do Mass Carnival. There's weekly targets in Mass Carnival for getting extra allied seals. Complete the fight again. If you've already done it, it's still under weekly targets. You can still check it out. Besides that, it's really up to you how you want to play. You can also go for your mount, which is kind of a big deal. So, yeah, I know, it's a scary thought, right? The mount is, you have to defeat 6 Savage level content raids as a full Blue Mage party of 8. And you have to do it without the echo. So you have to silence echo for that. But the mount is one of those things that I've been eyeing for a long time. One of my blues, one of my characters, almost has his mount. The only reason he doesn't have his mount is because I studied Gavel and how to do Gavel for a week. And then I show up and I'm like, I'm ready to do Gavel! And then they were like, nah, you know what, today we're going to skip it. I was like, what? So I put as much work into it as I did and was really upset that they're like, oh yeah, we're just going to skip it. So I didn't like that idea. But because, well, skipping it also requires chance, and it means that I can't prove myself because we're not doing Gavel, and I have to learn this new method. Now it's like I have to study another method, and we have to all do it in sync together. They have to all do it perfectly. Because if anybody dies before Gavel goes off, if anybody dies during that, final sting rotation that we're going through, then Gavel is immediately cast. Gavel is immediately set off. And you have to get your stings off in time. So everybody has to be synced up, and it's crazy. I didn't want that. So as hard as I studied Gavel, I was just ready for it. And it was so disappointing to learn that they're just like, nah, we're going to skip it. So Blue Mage is an extremely self-rewarding job to do. You just feel like you're just so much more skilled because you can now handle things with much lower defense and with much lower HP than normal jobs, quote unquote, normal jobs. And I don't like that either. I don't like saying normal jobs anymore. I don't even like the term cheesing, blue cheesing, because blue can cheese mechanics. I don't even like using that term. Just because I don't think blue cheeses things. I think blue survives things. Blue has a way of surviving unlike any other job in this game. So Blue Mage does not have a limit break. That's one thing a lot of people like to throw around. Blue Mage doesn't have a limit break. Why doesn't it have a limit break? I need a limit break. We're going to get a limit break at some point. Well, it's fun to think about it. And my vote is still wanting a giant marble the size of Alexander showing up and just blasting the field and just putting like permanent dots on the boss until the end of the fight. That's my idea of a limit break. But it doesn't matter. Because Blue Mage has Moon Flute and Final Sting, so that's a DPS limit break right there, and you can do it anytime you want. You have Diamondback and Mighty Guard, so that's a tank limit break right there. That's a 90% reduction plus the 30% that you would get from Mighty Guard up as well. So you can Diamondback any mechanic that you would need a tank limit break 3 for. I was just in a party the other day, and actually it's in my recordings, that I was doing the Warrior of Light, the Seed of Sacrifice. And you can't beat that fight without having a tank limit break 3. But Blue Mage could. Blue Mage doesn't need a tank limit break 3. Blue Mage has Diamondback. So a 90% damage reduction would leave everybody with higher HP than any other job. And the last one would be a healer limit break. Well, here's where I guess you can argue it. The healer limit break 3 would be raising everybody who's currently dead to full HP and MP. Do they get MP? Full MP for that? I think so. So it cures everybody to full. White Mage can't do that, but it still has, White Wind, and you can White Wind as much as you want and bring everybody up to full, even if they're down to like critical levels. As long as the person White Winding has full HP, they're going to bring everybody up to full immediately. So, including the tank, who's probably about to die. So they, at any point, you can be the clutch person, the MVP, who saves everybody with a single White Wind. That's awesome. And you can do that as much as you want, as much as you can handle your MP. Bringing Blood Drain and bringing Lucid Dreaming, of course, and Magic Hammer, of course, restores MP as well. So there's all kind of ways that you can manage your MP and be a cure in the party without being a healer. You see? So you can be the MVP. You can solve everybody's problems. It still is important if you're going in for one of those tough fights to be a full healer. Etheric Mimicry to heal, because Palm Cures get that insane bonus. Palm Cures are kind of like a Cure 2 or better. I think they're a little bit better than Cure. Well, Cure 2, let's see. I guess Cure 2 is 700 potency, I think. And then Palm Cure is 500 potency. But it's really quick, the distance is huge, and you can put Gobskin and then Palm Cure as well. You can have a second healer Gobskinning while you're Palm Curing. And it's just... And they have Angel Snack, which is a Medica, which is like Medica 2. Or some kind of AoE heal. So Blue Mage has just so many ways of being played that it's crazy. I would rather play Blue Mage for anything that I can do. That's what I'd rather be doing. And like I said, you can output some insane DPS even as a healer, even as a healer mimicry. You can still output Night Blooms and by the way, about your DPS. So Night Bloom and being mortal, Sea Shanty, and Glass Dance, and Shock Strike, and all that good stuff still has the exact same potency on every job you play, on every role you play. The only difference is under Mighty Guard, it limits the amount of damage you can output, and in DPS Mimicry, enhances the crit and direct hit rate. That's it. But it's the same potency on every roll. If you play without those mimicries. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So you could even, bristle up Breath of Magic or bristle up Mortal Flame as a healer if you want to. If nobody else has it in the party. If nobody else has that spell, you can do it. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. And maybe you're skilled enough that you can actually Moon Flute and afford yourself the 15 seconds of waiting. What I like to do on tank especially is if you go into Moon Flute, having 15 seconds where you can't do anything kind of stinks, but moving around is nice. I mean, you can still dodge stuff. But what I like to do is use Diamondback as my final cast for the Moon Flute. Now, during that 15 seconds of waiting, I'm not so vulnerable, am I? So, I mean, Diamondback actually is almost the full duration of the waning. So, what is it called? Waxing Nocturne? I think it's waxing, right? Oh, I just call it waning. But yeah, it's just, there are so many ways to play blue. I can do my weekly targets. I can do my logbook. I can fill in for the party finders. If there are people looking for members, it doesn't matter what they're looking for, I can fill in. I can jump in if they need a healer, tank, or DPS. It doesn't matter. I can jump in as long as they allow a blue mage into their party. The misunderstanding is that some people do not allow blue mages into a party. They think it's a joke. They think you're not a full job. They think you can't cut it. I was told by somebody that if I changed to blue mage and I was looking to help out, I was suggesting, okay, well, maybe I can come back as a blue mage healer, because they can actually output some insane DPS. But they said, if you come back as a blue mage, we're going to fail the DPS check for sure. And I was just, I don't know. I had a hard time with that. And I had to leave. But my blue mage could out DPS any healer that I have. And I can still be a healer on blue mage. Even white winds are insanely powerful. So it's really up to you. And that's the flexibility that I want out of a job. I'm tired of being locked into roles like white mage and scholar and and sage. And sage is pretty badass. I love sage. But you play all these roles and you're locked into what they are. Warrior is a tank, and bard is a DPS, and monk is a DPS, but it's a positional DPS. And then healers, and then, I don't like getting locked into a role. I don't know how you feel, but that's not how I like to play. I don't like being locked into a role. Once I started playing blue, I started becoming really spoiled. Playing blue spoils you badly. Because then you realize you don't have to lose any of your abilities. When you sink down, you don't lose any of your skills, because they're all level 1. When you unlock them, they're all level 1. Which means I can go to a level 5 fate, I can use being mortal. And it's pretty funny having all those skills available at that level. And I don't lose the ability to Diamondback. I don't lose Mighty Guard. My buff doesn't drop. Even when I have Mighty Guard on it and Etheric Mimicry, it does not drop when I sink down. Other jobs do. Other jobs lose their Iron Will from Paladin, or Defiance from Warrior. They lose their tank buffs when they sink down. And when I realized that, playing blue so long, and I go over to playing a quote-unquote normal class. See, I still feel awkward saying that. But I go over to a normal job, and I'm playing as a tank or something, and I lose my tank buff, and I'm like, I pull without realizing that, oh yeah, it's gone. The only thing nice about playing tank is that, well, of course you have the HP and defense, but it's not about that. It's that their major defensive skill, usually that's Sentinel or Shadow Wall or Vengeance or whatever. Gunbreaker has, what is it? Royal Royal Guard or something? No, it's not Royal Guard. That's their tank stance. What is that called? I don't know. But their defensive, buffs are instant. Those big instant spells. Well, Blue Mage has that too. It's called Dragon Force. But it's a cast. So they have to, of course, they have a cast on Devour to increase their HP. They have a cast on Dragon Force. They have a cast on all their spells, But the challenge is finding out when is a good time to use those spells during boss encounters. So it's something you have to really train yourself for. Something you have to really get used to. But it's a challenge that's well worth it. It's very cool. It's very fun. And it's always changing. It's like you took the time now to get used to Bahamut and his tank busters. You took the time to get used to him. And now you're, popping out your defenses on, at the right times and everything. But now you have to go into another of the raid bosses with your tank stances. Maybe Nail. Or it could even be Twintania or something. But you go into another fight and you're not sure what the timing is on the bosses. Well, they usually use their tank busters within the first 10 seconds. They usually open. You pull boss for the first time. Say it's Tsukayome, right? For Nightbloom, say it's Tsukayome, and you open by pulling Tsukayome and facing her away from the party. Now you're using things like Nightbloom to keep aggro, if you have that, and you're using Devour and any other primals you have. Well, she's going to open within the first 10 or 15 seconds with the Tank Buster. So you just have to know that, okay, you have to diamond back or put Dragon Force up for the opening. Just know to pop that just early. And there are certain times during Tank Busters, when bosses use their Tank Busters. So obviously you're going to want Dragon Force up for that time. And Dragon Force, I think, is on for, is it 10 or 15 seconds? I actually don't have the skill on Blue Heart, but I will get it. So the challenge is there. It's as much as you're willing to take on. Go get your mount as a blue, because that thing is awesome. I really want that thing. I want that thing thrice over. That's how much I want it. I will get it on 3 different blues. So, yeah, that's my passion is playing Blue Mage. That's what I do. That's what I decided I'd do, It was several years back when I started Blue, and Blue was still at its level 50 infancy. Still was level 50 cap. And at that point, Blue was only allowed to join unsynced parties. And unsynced is all about chance. So we had the trade-off strategy. Blue mages would party with other people that had max level red mages. Or max level other jobs, And you would trade off. 4 people go as blues, and then alternate. Once they get their spells, they alternate and help the other 4 blues get their spells. And we would sometimes be at things for over an hour. In the case of Titan, I actually did over 100 Titan fights to get Mountain Buster. It took that long. So that was the strategy. That's why I like leveling Red Mage, or I liked leveling a Red Mage before, was because that was the original strategy, was to help blues. And it's a res mage and all this stuff. But since the updates, with the etheric mimicry and sync parties, and then we could freely join any party that was synced, as long as they allow blues. You look up in the party finder that they're looking for certain jobs, and you get really sad when it's locked out to DPS, tank, and healer only. You get really sad about that. It's like, you can't join as blue, so you have to request it. So you ask them, you say, will you take a blue? Please take a blue. And, it's just, it's the other handicap that we'll face as playing blues. That we're going to be looked down on. We're not going to be respected or acknowledged as a real job by most people. And it's a rough world out there for blues. It is. It's a rough world. If you know about the Blue Mage job quests, then you know that Martin is facing the exact same problem. He's having trouble being accepted. He's having trouble. He wants Blue Magic to be accepted. It's not even about him. It's about Blue Magic. The Mamulja, I think they're Mamulja, which is another tribe from the Amalja, that brought Blue Magic to just... they brought Blue Magic to Eorzea. And Martin wants nothing more than to carry on their ideals, carry on their mission of spreading Blue Magic and spreading awareness. And it's not even about Martin being the only teacher, because that would be selfish. He's not. He's doing it for the tribe who actually went out of their way, and you gotta follow the storyline with the job quests. And he believes in Blue Magic. He believes in it. And when you believe in it fully enough, like I do, as with blues, it's just, you have to put up with other people making fun of you along the way. You have to accept it. It's going to happen. People are not going to take you seriously. You can't use a duty funder. They're upset about that. They're upset you can't join roulettes. They're upset. If Blue Mage could join roulettes or use the duty finder, there would be no doubt in my mind that it would be accepted as a full job by everybody, and everybody would be having blues. Everybody would have blues. But that's part of the charm of Blue Mage, is that it's for a select few. It's for the initiated. And it's also there as an option for people who know nothing about blue, who want to learn blue. And I love that blue is its own thing, completely separate from the other jobs in Final Fantasy. As a limited job, I'm glad it's a limited job. I'm glad that it's cut off from the other ones like that. I'm kind of glad. It needs its own identity. It needs its own brand. And Blue Mage brings that. So, yeah, just enjoy the job. Do your best. Get as many spells as you possibly can. I showed you all the target spells throughout all the levels that I've gone. And I'll go through the spell book right now. Actually, we'll just talk about them briefly. Alright, page 1. Obviously, you're going to want Final Sting, Bristle, Song of Torment. Remember, Bristle and Song of Torment stack. So this dot does 500 potency, because you get 10 ticks out of it, 50 potency each. So 500 potency total, but it hits for 52, so that would be 550 in total. Without Bristle, Bristle would increase that another 50%. Pretty big. Alright, second page, let's see. Flying Sardine. Of course, these are going to be your... Oh, Mighty Guard is your totem, right? Dimeback is your spell that you get from Stone Vigil hard mode. And yes, you want that. Ram's Voice. You saw when I got Ram's Voice for the first time at level 50. You saw how much of a difference it made. You saw how huge it was just to get one spell. To deep freeze enemies in place, deep freeze them in a group, and then you can alternate between your paralyzed skill, your sleep skill, and your freeze skill. Remember you saw all that? I was showing you how to chain together your debuffs and make sure that when the enemies are fully resistant, you still have a full debuff that you're throwing out. And you're getting off your 1,000 needles while they're in sleep mode, or frozen even. But if you don't have any other skills, 1,000 needles will do it. But Missile from Hildebrand, level 50. Of course, at 50% damage per hit is pretty incredible. And if you're leveling your Chocobo, you're going to be taking them down really fast, because your Chocobo is going to be killing them. Missile is going to be damaging them with no enmity gain. Your Chocobo is going to be tanking them, and he's going to be killing them. It's going to happen fast. It's only going to happen, 3 missiles and they're dead. That's it. 3 missiles and they're dead. You can put in 2 missiles and then 1,000 needle them, or eruption, or other spells, but 3 missiles and they're dead, because your Chocobo will kill them. Another one is, of course, Moonflute is from Mass Carnival, so you'll have to do only 10 stages of Mass Carnival to get your Moonflute. That is pretty important, because Bristle, even though it increases your magic, it increases your spell by 50%. Moonflute, on the other hand, is the same as Bristle, except it's on for 15 seconds. So that means you have 15 seconds to just drop anything on the enemy. And this is going to be most of your off-global cooldowns. This is going to be your other spells, like Eruption and Shock Strike and Glass Dance. And you're going to drop all your spells that have minute cooldowns. Things like that. So Feather Rain, of course. Feather Rain is one of your major DPS spells. Doom you get from completing 25 Mass Carnival stages. Just 25. If you do them all up to Ozomagia, you'll get Doom. Mind Blast, of course, is your quest spell. You have to get that. Did I mention Blood Drain? Yeah. Well, I guess it's kind of one of your necessary spells. I mean, it is a quest spell, so you're going to have to get it. So Mind Blast, 30-second Paralyze is fantastic, and when you're alternating that between your sleeps and freezes and doing Mind Blast, it's a great way to AoE DPS. I do love Mind Blast, especially because it leaves you more mobile, because it is a fast cast. So Shock Strike, Eruption being the first off global cooldown you're going to be able to get. Okay? You can actually get that at level 20 and do it yourself, as long as you go out and get Basic Instinct. Basic Instinct, again, is from the Coral, the Master Coral, that you find at, what is that? Upper Lenosha? I think that's Upper Lenosha, where Camp Ron's Lake is, right? It's on the west side. You go under the stone bridge, and then there's a waterfall in the back, and that's also where Fate spawns, but there's a Master Coral there, and that's where you get Basic Instinct. So you can do it yourself. Go get Eruption. It's going to make a huge difference, especially because there's no fall off. Does 300 to all. It's regardless of how many enemies you have. So that's pretty huge. All right. 220 to all. Yeah, and the rest of it, the rest of the DPS is over the dot, and you only get 2 ticks out of that. So, Alright. Let's keep going here. Just grabbing convenient ones. Electrogenesis will be your elemental skill. You can get that, and Alpine, Alpine Draft, right? Alpine Draft and Electrogenesis will cover your elements per Mass Carnival if you need those. Abyssal Transfixion, one of my favorites. Not necessarily spell, but it is a pretty fantastic spell, and it is physical. So aside from your Sonic Boom, you're going to have your physical spell for Mass Carnival, and yeah, that's going to be great. Your Soundwave, another trick for Mass Carnival. Palm Cure, if you want to go healer at all. If you want to be a healer, then you're going to go Palm Cure. Gobskin, if you wanted to be a healer, yeah, you can do Gobskin. There's an alternate location for Gobskin, and that would be Alexander. So if you unlock Breath of the Creator, you can actually get Gobskin from there. Magic Hammer, not absolutely necessary, but still a great spell to have. It is primarily used as a debuff spell when raids such as Bahamut are using Giga Flare and things like that. You're suffering raid-wide damage, right? The raid-wide damage is mostly magic. There's very little raid-wide damage out there that is physical. Very little. So, mostly when there's raid-wide damage going out, that's magic. And this is a magic debuff. So, it debuffs both mind and intelligence. And it restores MP, so that's good for restoring MP too. Sonic Boom is necessary for your DPS. I mean, that's your DPS filler, is Sonic Boom. It's great for range. So aside from Sonic Boom, Abyssal Transfixion, you have your physical and magical spells. But Sonic Boom is, I would say that's definitely a necessary spell. You go and get that from Sea of Clouds. It's from Sea of Clouds, but it also says it's from Ferrosirius. You can get it from either. If you sync Ferrosirius and you're doing it just to get, I'm having trouble just recalling the spells because there's so many here. So if you're doing it just to get your Song of Torment and you're syncing it just to the end, then you're going to end up getting Sonic Boom anyway. If the bird type creature, the boss number 2, if he doesn't die immediately, if he doesn't die too fast, then you're going to be getting Sonic Boom out of that. So that's pretty great. Frog Legs is going to be, it's a tank spell. Not a necessary spell, but it's definitely good to have. I would rank it up there pretty high. I wouldn't say it's absolutely necessary, though. Okay, let's keep going with that. So, Whistle, Sea of Clouds as well. That is necessary. Level 5 Death, I would say that's necessary. Just because it is a filler if you don't have Ultra Vibration yet, if you don't have Stormblood unlocked, you don't have those areas. Level 5 Death, definitely, because a lot of enemies can't be frozen, so you can't use Ultra Vibration. A lot of enemies in raids, for instance. In Coil, all the ads are vulnerable to level 5 Death, and that's pretty great. So we want to have that. It is nice to have, and you can use it in dungeons and things, and yeah. But the enemy has to be a multiple of 5, so you're only going to use that mostly in the 10s. The 50s, 60s, 70s, 80 dungeons. You're only going to be able to use it in those. Angel Whisper is a tough one. Of course, people are going to have their problem getting Angel Whisper. You have to get 30 wins with Mass Carnival to get Angel Whisper. 30 wins. That's a big deal. But there are 32 stages at level 80. So you can skip 2, but you have to get 30 wins. And honestly, I got this at level 60, so it's not hard to do. I showed you it's not hard to do. You might have a little trouble with Red, Fraught, and Blue, and you might have a little trouble with Ultros and Typhon, but yeah, get your Angel Whisper if you can. It's going to help everybody in the party. Devour, a necessary spell for tanks. Exviviation, just kind of convenient, and it's good for Mass Carnival as well. So, Etheric Mimicry, absolutely necessary. Whenever you have it available, get it. Yes, get it. First boss, you don't even have to kill the boss. It's just one of the ads. Very serious hard mode. Serpenaka, necessary, from Ravana. And you saw I got that at level 65 or something. I was 65 at the time. But yeah, you get that as soon as you can. J-Cake, I got lucky with a one-time drop with that. You know, it's a 5-star spell, and the higher the rank, the lower the chance that it'll drop when unsynced. And I got it on the first go. Well, that was magic. Yes, that is a really good spell to have. It's also like Quasar from Sophia, but the difference here is that this is a jump-in ability, and jump-in abilities just have the utility of it, of jumping in if you have to dodge AoEs really quickly or get out of whatever you're in. Yeah, so the jump ability is just very handy. So, Triple Trident, Tingle, yes, I would say they're necessary. Low necessary, but they're, yeah, for DPS, if you're going DPS, you're going to want those. Tingle increases 100 potency, and Triple Trident hits 3 times. So increasing that by 100 potency, 250 per hit, is kind of a big deal. And you're going to be moon fluting your Triple Trident too. So, yeah, you're going to be... I know this is a 1-star. Look at that. It's a 1-star. And this is a 2-star. It's funny. Because this hits 3 times, and this is like a really weak ability, right? But this increases all physical damage too. So it would increase... Also, it would add 100 potency to things like Abyssal Transfixion and Sharpened Knife. It would add 100 potency to those, but you're not going to be worried about buffing those up anymore. You could... Tingle does not stack with Bristle, by the way. Let's see, wait a second. Hang on, it does. My bad. I have to redact that. I'm sorry. So Tingle does stack, yeah, with Whistle and Bristle. Okay, so you can actually double buff one of your physical spells. Tatagami Yeshi, just one of my favorites. Just, I love it. It's a good spell. Not necessary, actually. Not necessary. It has its purpose, but it's just a solid DPS skill, too. You know how white mages love to spam their Holy? And Holy does, a stun effect to all targets for 3 seconds. That's what Tatagami Yeshi does. Except this has a good range on it, so you can stand back quite far and hit all the targets. So that is pretty cool. Cold Fog, absolutely necessary. Cold Fog as a DPS, healer, tank, whatever, it doesn't matter, but Cold Fog is fantastic. As long as you get hit, as long as the enemy is going to hit you, or if you take red-wide damage when you pop it, then it will trigger Cold Fog, and it will make all your... You can pop off Cold Fog, I think 7 or 8 times. I think so. 7 or 8 times while it's up. And you can weave in your alternate off global cooldown spells after Cold Fog. You can do Cold Fog, Night Bloom, Cold Fog, Shock Strike, Cold Fog, She Shanti, Cold Fog. You can weave on all your spells. It's pretty great. Stotrum, another necessary spell for healers. Enough said. It's her AoE heal. It's a lot less than White Wind, so you get Stotrum, and yeah, it's definitely going to help. Angel Snack, you're going to get that from your totem, so just collecting enough spells. Of course, you saw that I already have that. I got that early, it's not that bad. Chelonian Gate, another necessary spell for tank. It has a very short cast time. It's less than 30 seconds. Our recast time is less than 30 seconds. So, yes, definitely have that as much as you can, because that is better than Rampart, in my opinion. Because I think Rampart even has a longer cast or recast time than that. So, yeah, that's like your Rampart. But it's better, I think. Especially when you're under tank mimicry, you do 1,000 potency when you do that gush back or that flow back from, they break Chelonian Gate or you take so much damage. You can do that flow back and hit it again, and it does 1,000 potency under tank mimicry, so that's pretty awesome. Rose of Destruction, yes, absolutely necessary. 30-second cooldown. It's got less than 30 seconds. Depends on your spell speed, right? But it's a 30-second spell, and it's just awesome. And it's a global cooldown, so it does take priority over Sonic Boom and Triple Trident and stuff like that. But yes, fantastic DPS skill. 400 potency every 30 seconds. Yeah, it's great to have. It's better than Eruption in that they're both fast, but this is a single target as opposed to multi-target. So think about that, right? Think about it like that. Basic Instinct, of course, is going to be your solo. That's going to be from Upper Lenosha. Yeah, I said it right. Okay, cool. That's for solo, for when you want to do things solo. It buffs you in all regards, gives you a permanent sprint mode. It ignores Mighty Guard. It doubles your healing potency and doubles your damage. It's incredible. So, Ultra Vibration is just going to be your a non-necessary spell, but it's going to definitely help parties who are doing dungeon runs very quickly for freezing and alternating their Ultra Vibrations off their cooldowns. Yeah, you're going to be taking enemies down really quickly. Ethereal Spark, I just got out of convenience. Choco Meteor, real quick. If you have your Chocobo, which I know you do, right? You love your Chocobo? You love him, right? Him or her. And yes, Choco Meteor enhances its potency with your Chocobo out. So it's like a primal skill every time you use it. It's awesome. Okay, Hydro Pool, another favorite of mine. Not really necessary, but yes, it is cool. Definitely for parties when you're running dungeons. For pulling everything together. Remember, they can be pulled together when frozen. Both ends, well, it shares a recast with Nightbloom. But it does 600 potency flat. 600 potency is pretty cool. Flat damage to all targets, no fall off. So as opposed to Nightbloom, which does its damage, most of its damage over time, both ends will do it all at once. Which is cool, in that Nightbloom will, force the enemy to jump away. Sometimes you put the dot on and it makes them jump away. They're not taking damage if they're off the battlefield, the battlefield, right? So, yeah. So in that case, both ends pretty cool for that part, I guess. But Phantom Flurry, another necessary spell. Nice thing about Phantom Flurry is that you can use it at the end of your Moon Flute, and the kicking actually goes another 5 seconds if you're using it at the end. And even though you're in waning, you're still using your tick attacks. You're still doing the 200 potency under Nightbloom. Or under, under your Moon Flute. You're still doing the enhanced potency under your Moon Flute. So keep that in mind. And yes, it's very easy to get out of the way. because it takes only 5 seconds, right? It's very quick. You can get it done and get out of the way. Dodge. Night Bloom, necessary. Enhanced Dot, you don't even need to Moon Flute. Well, you don't even need to Bristle. It's got the same enhancement as a Bristle Dot. You know, it's got that same potency on it. But it also does the first initial damage from the hit. So yeah, definitely do that. Night Bloom is necessary. Double Punch, really good spell to have for tanks. Ignores Mighty Guard as a front attack. Let's see, any other necessaries? Of course, last ones being Mortal, 800 potency, flat damage. So just like both ends, it's just doing the damage all up front. I mean, that's always a really good thing. Mortal Flame, Sea Shanti, and Winged Reprobation, which I don't have yet. Those are necessary spells. Winged Reprobation does 4 hits, and the 4th hit is more potent than the other 3. You can do it. They have 1 second delay between each cast. It takes priority over your global skills, so of course you're going to be using that instead of Sonic Booms. But you're going to be weaving spells in between your Winged Reprobation. You can weave spells in between your casts, which is great because they're 1 second casts. Just like Sorpanaka, you're spamming one ability, except this ability doesn't matter if you use other skills in between, it still has the same potency every time. Unlike with Sorpanaka, which gains 50% potency as long as it's the next spell used, Winged Reprobation doesn't have that restriction. So yes, definitely get that one. Sea Shanti and Mortal Flame, those are necessary spells. Mortal Flame is a dot that lasts forever, which is huge, especially when you Mortal Flame Bristle it. Yeah, it's incredible that it just lasts forever, for as long as the fight goes on. Which means the boss is not taking damage when he's off screen, when he jumps away and during the transition and stuff like that. But it's immediately on the boss already when he comes back. I mean, that's pretty huge. So, and Sea Shanti, you're going to replace Glass Dance. Glass Dance is not an absolutely necessary spell, but I would say if you don't have access to Sea Shanti, you're going to use Glass Dance. If you do have access to Sea Shanti, you're probably going to replace Glass Dance with that. So, this is a 500 potency, you know, for all ads around you, 50% drop off for, you know, all additional enemies. But it also does 1,000 potency in the rain. I haven't had a chance to test that yet, but man, that must be really cool. I would love to see that. Anyway, that's everything. That's everything blue. Everything blue was just great. I mean, this is my passion. Plain blue. That's what I do. So now we've covered everything. Maybe you've seen my videos. There's lots of content there to view if you haven't seen them. And poked out all the necessary spells up to this point, and why you should get them. Soloing stuff is cool. You want to, of course, buff yourself as early as possible. You want to get Eruption as soon as possible. Single pieces of gear can make a difference in buffing your intelligence. That's all you need. Just get the lightest equipment that you can. And yeah, do your Mass Carnival. It's not that hard. It's challenging. I mean, some of them definitely are challenging, yes, but it's not that intimidating because they are all puzzle fights. So puzzles are great, right? Anyway, yeah, it's the end of this video. I'm done talking. So, all right, everybody out there, have a good one, and thank you for being here for all times. Okay, take care.